What's good, legends? We just got full patch notes from GGG overnight. Today I'm gonna go over them. I will try to pick the most important ones because there is so many changes and everything that it's impossible to go over in one video because that will be just too long. So first things, we got some endgame changes here. So they are nerfing the implicits on tablets pretty much, adding some new ones for the new content too. And there is a change where if you exit the game while in a map, logging back into the same character will put you in the map. So this could mean you'll be put in the same spot where you logged out of. Mostly it was done to prevent from dying, which means you would lose XP. So we'll see if that's possible anymore or not. Strong boxes have more enemies. Breach has less monster density as well. And reduce the intensity of fog in Delirium. This was pretty brutal on optimization for most PCs and most players, so that should be fine now. Now, Atlas passive tree changes. They added some new ones for the spirits, which is new content. I have a full video describing the new additions to the game, if you want to take a look at that. And some other stuff, as in breaches, again, a lower monster density from 40% to 25%. General improvements. This is pretty crucial one for quite a few players, actually. They have a workaround with a crash that was occurring on NVIDIA hardware with recent drivers. And now it can recover from device removed events. And this occurs when the game will display a loading screen and pause while it attempts to recover. This only applies for this specific type of client crash, not all client crashes, but I know from a lot of people that were on the stream talking about this issue, so I think this is a pretty big W. Now, strong boxes can appear in certain Act 1 areas. Also, Rogue Exiles, the newest addition, will start appearing in Cruel, Act 4, which is pretty interesting, or if you will, Act 1 Cruel. Player changes. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff. So, you can no longer be boosted from level 1 in campaign. You need to be a specific level to enter Cruel difficulty, and then endgame as well, level 50. Now, freeze buildup is much harder now. They nerfed it by quite a lot. Ailment threshold for players is also reduced. It was before for all max life, now it's half of max life. Presence radius for group play or I guess medium players is also reduced by 2 meters, which could be pretty crucial. But we'll see about that. Now, mobs have something called light stun now. So you will have a light stun threshold. I believe that's the wording in the game. So that's basically like what mobs had. It's just different name now. And that means that the heavy stun also now will last for 3 seconds instead of 1 second. So you really need to invest into stun threshold because this is pretty insane. 3 seconds being down on the ground without able to do anything. You cannot even block or evade hits. That's pretty insane, right? Now, critical weakness will track duration individually rather than refreshing the duration of all stacks. So kind of nerf as well from Eye of Winter or Malice Scepter. Big buff for melee, physical damage builds, not melee, but physical damage builds. Fully broken armor causes enemies to take increased physical damage from hits by 20%. Not sure if this also applies to you as a player, if enemies break armor on you, because this does say enemies, so to me it sounds like only on mobs, but we shall see. Another great buff, overall for Titan, which I will link with Ascendancy Changes down there. Ancestrally boosted slams now give you 30% more, which is multiplicative damage, and 20% more AoE. Before it was 20% for both, but the damage here is insane buff. And that leads me to Ascendancy Changes. Titan. I have no clue, like Titan looks insane. I was expecting nerfs, but this is crazy. So my current latest build for Earthshatter in the right upper corner is not getting nuked, it's getting buffed by a lot. So not only through the full broken armor, which I utilized in my Titan builds, but also through the ancestral boosted, which I also picked. And then also surprising strength gives you 50% multiplicative damage against heavy stunned enemies. It was 40% before. So that's 20% overall damage multiplier over here, which is insane damage. And then also the Aftershock Ascendancy on Titan is increased from 20% to 25%. Which is pretty good too, because Aftershocks just, they go hard on Titan. So yeah, that's why I like to future-proof my builds. I just like to go with something that no one really uses, and it paid off. As you can see, it's pretty crazy. Warbringer will now be able to scale AoE on the War Cries for the Corpse Explosion. Little Charm reduces the block chance here. Encasing Gauge in Jade, it gets reworked as well to give you guard. Now the Ancestral Spirits are getting buffed as well. I like this one specifically. Rage on it, 10 Rage on it from previously 5, and increase skill speed 20%. Then also for like group play or allies, if you want to get more defenses and also block chance, not too bad. Now, Javelin Legionnaire, I thought it will get nerfed. I guess it kind of did, but there is one thing that looks absolutely crazy. So this passive skill, Ascendancy, it no longer gives you plus 3 skill slots, but instead gives you 20% damage increase per socket at the red support gem, 6% skill speed per green support gem, and 20% crit chance per blue support gem. That sounds crazy. That to me just sounds insane. This skill speed alone is just very powerful because skill speed applies to both attack speed and cast speed. So I don't know. Witch Hunter is getting some buffs as well, and some nerfs to armor and evasion rating here. Well, kind of nerf. Deadeye here is getting, I think Deadeye will be just absolutely crazy for Huntress with the new spear and whatnot. Might make a separate video for the spear gameplay because Ziggy D played it or made a video about that. Pathfinder looks also absolutely crazy. It's getting a lot of the good stuff. So main one here is it gives you, which you can provide, there is a passive that gives you 30% evasion rating, but it also gives you elemental damage reduction. Which sounds insane because we mostly die to elemental damage, right? There is other things for concoctions. All of them are getting basically buffed, almost double. Chayula here is getting some rework as well. It gives you more maximum darkness. And instead of Mana Leech, you will be able to get Mana Leech recovers based on other damage types as well as physical. So if you will like Double Leech, that to me sounds like Double Leech, similar to Huntress. Invoker, I was expecting nerfs, but it kind of got buffed. There is a, I mean, sure, you get nerfed from the Spirit, from the Energy Shield and Evasion on the armor, but Elemental Expression skills and Scatter Them by the Winds, they deal more damage at all gem levels, 40% multiplier. Blood Mage looks very interesting as well. You'll be able to aggravate bleeding on cursed targets. So bleeding, I think bleeding builds will really take the spotlight this patch, this league, in my opinion. And also a new Ascendancy that causes crit hits to ignore monster armor. I'm a big fan of Bone Storm. I'll talk about that skill more because I have a build about that. And Infernal is getting some reworks as well. This looks very good for group play. So you will be able to, in your ally, you and the allies in your presence will be able to get 50% damage as fire damage. 50% of damage is fire. Previously it was 20, so this is more than double. Another big buff is 50% more crit damage. This is multiplier again. Previously it was 30%. I do have a build in the right upper corner for Sunder Infernalist. Very good. Revolving around crit damage. I had 1000% crit damage. Next up, we got the Bringer of Flame Ascendancy. Causes all damage from you and allies in your presence to contribute to Ignite Chance and Magnitude. Before it was kind of restricted, well, while it not on low Infernal Flame, excuse me. So this is pretty good. Loyal Hellhound does no longer provide you with 20% of damage from hits taken from the Hellhound. That's kind of nerf. Chronomancer is getting nerf and buff, unleash skill, like new Ascendancy. We'll see how this really works. Stormweaver is getting nerfed. That's okay because the magnitude, or I mean the double shock was too strong. I have also built above this Flicker Strike in the right upper corner. Using double shock was pretty insane. So now it will just make you have less magnitude shock. Passive skill tree changes here. We got a few. So Acrobatics is now nerfed. 12 jewel sockets are removed from the tree. So the tree got a pretty huge overhaul, I would say. Now Eldritch Battery is getting a new property, doubles mana cost, which is quite insane. Next up, Falcon Technique, pretty popular passive. Nerfed as well. 1% attack speed per 25 dex instead of 15 as it was before. What else do we have here? Mana got nerfed across the board. So not only notables, but also on items. So maximum mana is just much lowered. Some of the passives have, instead of max mana here, they get mana regen. Spaghettification got nerfed too. Less attributes, but also less chaos minus. Split the Earth for Aftershocks just got extra, like, not extra, but just reward. Make the description easier to understand. skill changes here. Let's take a look what we got. So they fixed mana cost for... That's what they said in the interview. Mana cost is fixed. It's no longer an issue, because before on high level Hammer of the Gods, it was over 1000 mana. Meanwhile, your mana pool was like 600. So that should no longer happen, which is very good. Archmage got nerfed as well, quite heavily, but that's okay because it was too strong. Now, many skills have had their base damage and or damage growth per level rebalance, but there is so many that they haven't listed everything. Armor Breaker doesn't has the amount of armor broken lowered by roughly 20%. Banner skills have more AoE. Bleeding Concussion has 200% more magnitude. Previously it was 100%. And that goes for all concussions. They basically got doubled. Bone Storm works as Impale from PoE 1, if you will. So hits the Impale enemy, cause the next attack hit against the enemy to gain added physical damage equal to 30% of the physical damage dealt by impaling hit. Big fan of Bone Storm, very powerful ability. Also have a build on Blood Mage in the right up corner. I'll be probably revisiting this build. I wanted to use Bone Storm for all my physical builds because it did apply a debuff where it makes you deal more physical damage, but now it works a bit different. We'll see how I could maybe utilize this in the in my builds. But it now impales on a hit instead of applying a debuff and has more magnitude, 200%, which is wild. Cast on Shock is getting nerfed. I believe all the Cast on Shock Ranger builds got absolutely just deleted, no longer existing. This goes for like charge generation through Combat Frenzy. It got also heavily nerfed. It's like doubled the amount of time. You can get it every 4 or 5 seconds, which is insane. Before it was like 2 or 1.5 to 2.5. Concussion skills require unarmed weapon set. They also consume 5 mana flask charges per use. Before it was 3, so kind of nerfed there. All the curses reduce less resistances compared to before. So from 32 to 25. What else do we have here? Decompose skills have does less damage from the boots, so that crazy build is nerfed, but still 20% of corpse maximum life is still kind of insane. Detonate Death got nerfed too, from 20% maximum life to 10%, so like a double nerf by double. Concussion again got increased by a double. Falling Thunder got buffed as well, like doubled per power charge consumed the projectiles. I do also have a build in the right upper corner for Falling Thunder, so very excited about this. And I also did it on the Titan, so that also got buffed. So this build will be pretty crazy now. But again, getting power charges or charges in general is pretty harder now. But on the other hand, I do have a technique how to do it through a weapon set 2 on sacrifice minions. Flammability again, curse nerf. Frostfall is a cooldown now. Gas arrow and grenades decompose have a limit of 6 poison clouds, so no longer can snack it like crazy. Hammer of the Gods is nerfed as well, or rather reworked. It doesn't have a cooldown anymore, but it requires something called Glory. Now, Glory is a resource that gets built up by heavy stunning enemies. Again, when I played Earth Shadow build, Earth Shadow stuns like crazy, so for the mapping and overall, this will be insane. Pretty interesting. For quality, it gives you impact radius instead of cooldown reduction. Heralds got nerfed on the AoE, but overall, I expected more nerfs to Heralds. I don't really see like any crucial things for this besides the AoE nerf, but it could be different. There is one nerf though. I'm not sure if it's here, but on-kill effects from Heralds no longer apply. So stuff like Cannibalism that gives you life recovery per killed enemy won't apply there, so HP sustain could be a bit rough on the maps. What else do we have here? We got the Clerics before they like wanted to attack the enemies. Now it's no longer happening. Lightning Rod Arrow got nerfed as well. I will have all the patch notes in the description, so you can take a look for yourself. Perfect Strike got also nerfed, and that's okay because Perfect Strike, you can see in my current build in the right upper corner, the starter for Warrior. I did a showcase of the campaign. Perfect Strike is just too crazy for bosses during leveling campaign, so I think that's totally understandable. Ritual has more radius, so that's very good. This applies to the charge generation I was talking about. Next up, Reaper Invocation got buffed. No one released it, so now it's buffed. Now, Rolling Slam and Sunder, they both got finally reduced total attack time from 1.5 seconds to 1 second. Mana cost got adjusted accordingly. 1 second attack time is still not something I like. It's still absolute trash, but hopefully it will be more viable. Minions got, I believe, nerfed. So Brutes got, well, I guess buffed because they have more stun buildup. Reavers finally, Rage on Hit works. Ice Bomb from Mages has more cooldown, so that's a nerf. Chain from Storm Mages too. Now, Skeleton Warriors are no longer will no longer be as a skill gem. You can get it through the Scepter. You will get 2 minions for free, 2 warriors for free, and you can have more of them for Spirit Reservation cost. That's pretty interesting. You don't have to waste a skill slot for that. Next up, Stampede, less quality, Aftershocks. Spark got nerfed, less projectiles, less speed. I mean, less damage, if you will. Kind of, well, technically. Tempest Bell got also nerfed, which is rightfully so. I think Tempest Bell will still be okay. You won't be able to get more of them, dish them out, but it requires 10 combos instead of 4. That's a pretty big nerf. If you're not playing a strike ability, if you're playing strike ability, I think that should still be fine. Wine Arrow also got nerfed. Fissure also nerfed. Grenades across the board. Mercenary nerfed. They got from 3-second cooldown to 6-second cooldown. I have no clue why. I don't think anyone really used it properly for effective build in endgame whatnot, so it's whatever. When Dancer got nerfed / buffed, the crit is now based off your main hand weapon instead of having a baseline of 5%, so that's pretty huge. Poison Cloud and Gas Arrow is also nerfed. No longer having like a huge AoE, if you will. Discipline and Purity Auras also affect you, so that's pretty good. Next up, we got support changes. So Cannibalism got nerfed from 4% life to 2%. Close Combat has a better cost multiplier, but the rest of some of the support gems have higher cost multiplier. So we'll see how this goes with mana. Brutality, less damage increases. Now 25% instead of 35%. What else do we have here? Ferocity support gem finally works. I believe it's down below, but Ferocity will finally support gem that gives you a lot of skill speed works. Magnified effect has less AoE, 30% from 40%. That's still okay. Potential gives you more crit chance when it comes to buffer charge. Scatter Shot got heavily nerfed from it gives you less damage by 35%, which is huge. So not a big fan of this one anymore. Skip Away also got nerfed. The Window of Opportunity, this is also very nerfed. But it's got a shorter perfect time window, so this could be pretty good for, I don't know, snipe maybe, perfect strike. Unique item changes against the darkness have removed the max mana percentage. It gives you flat max mana, also life, so interesting. Attributes all got also nerfed from up to 4% to 3%. Dream Fragments, very nerfed, max mana, nerfed halved. Shore of Storm, the unique amulet from Xesh gives you Lightning Bolt instead of Greater Lightning Bolt. Aturi Distant Domain, heavy nerfs as well. Astramantis, attribute nerfs, kind of the minimum roll got nerfed. Everlasting Gaze, massive nerf here. Max mana gain as energy shield from 30% to 6%. That's wild, right? Next up, Ghost Wraith got also nerfed halved. Holy. Hand of Wisdom, absolute nerf too. Which is still technically okay. You will get less attack speed per dexterity by a lot, but it's still kind of okay. It depends on the attributes on items if they are lowered. Ingenuity got nerfed up to 80% down to 30%, so that's more than half of the nerf. But it gives you plus charm slots and charm charges gained, and also reduces the charm charges used. So this could be really good on the Ritualist. Like I have only a short about it, but Ritualist has +1 ring slot and has a passive that gives you 25% more effect on ring slots and also amulet. So I think Ingenuity will still be good on Ritualist. Other classes though, not sure. I still think it's gonna be okay. I think charms will be in general very good because they introduce unique charms. There is one that gives you onslaught effect, and Ritualist basically can have charm uses on demand. Don't have to wait for them to proc. The shield gives you support from Soul Cores, got nerfed. Potion nerfed. Moyer seems to be will be probably super bad now. So it will give you 3 modifiers instead of 2. So if you corrupt it, you can get 4 modifiers. But they are removing rarity from it. They're removing max life, max mana, attributes. And then they're also nerfing the rest of the modifiers like Spirit, Global Defense, and Element Resistances. So they did, hold on, they did add 7 new per Sacred Rune also, or Soul Core modifiers. Not sure if this is meant for Warrior or in general, but okay, maybe not. Maybe Warrior could be pretty good. Pillar of the Cage got nerfed as well. You get less stats for attributes. Queen of the Forest got nerfed as well with movement speed. Temporalis got nerfed. Wentor's Gamble got nerfed with Magic Find. More of the items got nerfed with Magic Find, so looks like we'll get less Magic Find in general. Next up, we got item changes. So with Jeweler Orbs, you no longer have to follow it up with the Lesser Jeweler Orb, then Greater, and then Perfect. If you get Perfect, you can slam it on just base gem and get all the sockets. They double the rate of runes, the drop rate. You can now combine them, reforge them, because they're introducing 3 tiers of runes. So you can reforge like 3 of the lesser ones into regular rune and 3 of the regular ones to 1 greater rune. Base damage of crossbows has been increased, so that's not too bad. Breach rings got nerfed, less drops. Quality is down from 50% to 40%. Jewels across the board got also especially time lost. Some of the affixes can no longer roll on those, such as increased effective auras from aura skills. What else do we have here? Scepters, minions nerf as well from 5 to +4. Mana again across the board lowered on items by quite a lot, even on amulets. Next up, monster changes here. So the life of the bosses in trials have been reduced because it was unintendedly increased by half. So that's kind of insane. Armor on all monster has been reduced again. Physical bad damage builds stonks up. Soul Eater nerf on the enemies. That's because probably they are thinking of, Amazon will use that or get this from mob, so it'll be too strong, but it's still pretty insane. Arbiter has been buffed / nerfed, so it deals increased damage with few selected abilities, but it can no longer overlap its abilities because sometimes it was just going too crazy. So that should not be possible anymore. Gorillas got nerfed, they don't deal as much damage. The roll from Silver Fist as well. Wrathbreaker is resistance to cold, but vulnerability to fire. I don't think that makes sense because Wrathbreaker is the first boss in Trial that does fire damage. So what would be vulnerable to fire? That's okay though. It's fine. Pain is nerfed as well as Electrocute. On non-players is roughly slower, so that means non-players are enemies, right? Now, stun has been, I think, oh, actually, hold on. I think prime for electrocution and prime for stun, because there are some interactions where you need this, like Bone Shatter for stun and whatnot. And that will be much easier now, because it will proc sooner, if you will, on normal mobs, rares, and uniques by 10%. So that's I kind of like this, I think. Some enemies were super hard to stun. It was ridiculous for like melee builds. Now, what else do we have here? There are so many changes. Let me see if I missed something. The incrementally improved monster behavior. Not sure if they're talking about rogue exiles or AI in general. As in, I guess, is it going to be harder? Are they going to be smarter? We shall see. Quest changes. Nothing too crazy. Interface changes as well. Some extra additions. You can spectate party member if you die. Microtransactions, they added some skins from PoE1 to PoE2, and some bug fixes such as Sunder's Aftershock could hit enemies too many times. I believe they're referring to the 3 hits in one Sunder. I think so. That's a nerf, obviously, or I mean it's a fix, but it's a nerf to Sunder as well. I think it's still gonna be fine if you revolve around Aftershocks on Sunder, which I did on the Infernal list. Next up, Ferocity, like I mentioned, this is getting fixed finally. It didn't really work before. Collapse and Rising. Cast on Block on Svalin is also fixed because before it gave you 2.5 energy, but now it gives you 25. So it was displayed as 250, but it was grinding 2.5. So Svalin was dead with Cast on Block. That's why it was so slow. Now it's fixed, so Svalent could finally be viable. Thorns were not able to stun, freeze, electrocute, but now they can. That's pretty good. Not sure if Thorns will be a thing. What else do we have here on this bad boy? Controller stuff when while using demon form. Raging Spirits didn't display like the duration of spirits, so it's like quality of life, if you will. Some mob stuff and fixed nerf. All these details once again will be in the description. Power Threat unique boots described as basic crit bonus instead of increase. It's just some of this is just pure description changes, so it's easier to understand, if you will. But yeah, overcharged support gem, which gave you magnitude of shock, still does that, but now it reflects the shock on you. So yikes, I was a big fan of that one, but it looks like it's not as good anymore. But yeah, I was trying to keep this short, so about 26-minute build, video, not too bad. Overall, changes are pretty good. I expected, I'm gonna say it, I expected more nerfs. I'm sorry, it is what it is, but the buffs for Titan and Melee overall, kind of unexpected, caught me by surprise. I'll take it though, I'll take it. I'll be definitely visiting Titan builds, especially Earth Shatter again. I'll probably make a video soon because we can play the current changes will be applied to our current existing characters, current AK old league. So yeah, I'll be testing it out. But anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Let me know what you think. I'll see you on Friday. I'll make a sub. I'll be doing my first subathon ever on Twitch stream. I'll also stream on YouTube. So if you wanna stop by, come hang out before release or during as well, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching once again. Until next time, have a great one and peace.